we're back. I just want to say real quick, sorry about the confusion of the first half of this build. I thought YouTube, you could still do 30-minute videos. Turns out you can only do 15. So, as you can tell, all I simply did was just cut the video in half. When I cut it in half, the whole second half of the thing, all the editing got erased. So I had to go back and re-edit everything. I got more pulleys. These are actually 3/4 inch pulleys instead of an inch wide. That's what the parts store gave me. It's not what I wanted, but that's what they had in stock. They don't normally carry these. They had actually not a special order, but they had to order an extra of these 1.5 inch. So the big pulleys that were down here are going to be the tensioner. In theory, this is all flat. And this is the same, should be straight up and down with the bottom plate. So the same thickness I had from this, I used on that. I went with the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. It's the best advice you'll ever get when making equipment. So I already got a call, I gotta go back to work. So tomorrow I wanna drill a hole in here. I'm gonna go ahead and mark it out. And then I wanna use this part here that holds my other pulleys. I wanna put a spring in there with a rod that sticks out, so I'm gonna have to weld a plate on the back of this as a stop plate. But I like how all the angles are right now. So that way I have my slack belt flat on top. I can put my platen back here. I think that's what you call it. My backing plate. Looking at this now, I think this is crooked, but I think these are just crooked. So I can straighten this out later. As far as it looks right now, it looks really good. I'm getting excited again. I got the hole drilled for the tensioner, and it pivots. The hard part is when you rotate this, I gotta get tight. When you rotate it, it literally starts coming off. And at operating speeds, it just flies off. So what I'm thinking of doing is putting a washer in here. No, actually, I need to loosen up the bolts on the motor and see if I can't get it to run right. Maybe the motor's crooked.
All right, I figured something out. The reason why it wasn't running right. I got kind of tweaked a little bit with the motor dealy and got lined up better. I have a bungee strap on this part right now, just as a temporary tensioner. But you see how this one here, they don't really spin. And what I was doing is these weren't spinning freely because I had to get them tight enough to where they don't do like just this. They don't separate. And I couldn't get tight enough because I was pushing the bearings itself together and causing extra pressure. And I don't know why I didn't think of this. On my old grinder, it looks like a chainsaw pretty much. It's just two pulleys. So you have the motor and then the top pulley. What I did is I put spacers in between here so that way they each are tight, but they're not squeezing against each other. So I've already done it to this one, and you see how easy that spins? And that's just one side. Then you go over here and you spin the other side. And all I did differently, I went back to the parts store for like the 5th time, but I got more of these bushings. And actually, the width of them is the exact width I need as a spacer in between here. So what I'm going to do is take this one apart. This one's already done. Take this one apart and this tensioner apart, because even the tensioner, it causes too much drag. And I'm hoping that after that I can get it to run good again. So take that apart and do that real quick and see how it turns out. If that bushing isn't wide enough, you can take lock washers, and you see how that's flat. There's a lock washer. It's supposed to be staggered like that. You put it in a vise and you just twist the top, take the spring of it out, so that way you don't cause burrs in there and it's relatively flat. When you put it on, it sits right there on the metal part of your bearing, whereas a regular washer is way too big and it would like dwarf it, and then you get the pushing on the bearing part, and then you'll have the same problem you had before you put the spacers on. This one here, these are the bigger pulleys. These are actually 1 inch wide. These are originally what I was trying to build the whole thing out of. Turns out these are special order. So you stick them together and you can kind of see a slight gap. Oh, there, you can barely see it. And that will be just about right. So I'm going to put my other spacer, lock washer, an oversized nut. That's what I have on the others, so that way it holds it the same exact distance away from the arms. Whenever I build new equipment, I like to have dedicated tooling for it. The nuts are 11/16, but the front is a 5/8. I hate when they do that. So all I'm going to do is take this over to the abrasive cutoff deal. I call it a chop saw, seeing it's smoother. And I'm just gonna shave that side off, just so that way it fits. So that way I have a combination, a true combination wrench, 2 different sizes. Ta-da! Just grind a little bit on one side. Make sure you bring your nut with you so you can keep checking. And actually, that's tighter tolerance, well, about the same as a factory wrench. And for all of those, it's a Stanley. It's from Walmart. If I lose it, break it, melt it down, turn it into a desk knife, it doesn't matter. It was like 50 cents. So here's what I'm thinking for my tensioner. I'm going to weld that plate there onto the idler. Weld this little bracket here. And then I have 2 of these springs. So that will go in there with a bolt. It'll all push this that way. I got it, guys, I got it. Check this out. I was able to lean into it real hard. This is a worn out belt. So for it to be able to grind that in just a matter of a few seconds, I did stop it. I'm kind of disappointed that I was able to stop the motor, because that's the whole reason I'm making a 2 horsepower. And I'm going from a 3rd horsepower to 2 horsepower. I'm disappointed, but hey, I got it to work. And tomorrow I'm going to work on either work on the dealie. I don't know what you call it. Tool rest, maybe? Yeah, I think it's called tool rest. So, you know, you put the dealie there, and then you're grinding your dealie, and bam. So I'll work on that tomorrow. But tensioner seems to work good, and I can still pull forward, take a belt off, you know, pull forward again, put the belt on. Back platen deal is I want to put a piece of angle iron and slot these out, so that way you can go all the way back to the deal and have like a 3/4, 1 inch gap, and that way I can adjust the angle a bit. What I'm thinking of this great big heavy 3-inch angle iron, and what I'm going to do is, yeah, this thing's solid, is cut the notches out and do all that stuff the most sketchy way possible with the chop saw, and see if that don't work out. So I got a handy dandy marker. It's about centered. Shot sparks at my camera again like an idiot. When I was grinding the other day, I found out that I have little tiny spots all over my phone. I think it'll work. Is everything lining up? Oh, look at that. Ooh, pretty, pretty. Yeah, I know there's a worn out spot. But you know what? This is a chipping hammer, so. Woo! Yeah. Awesome. 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 It's really extra wide, so to go around edges of the blade, it's gonna be hard, so later I might just shave this side off. But the main thing is, I'll show you at the end when I put this in my own shop. The current grinder I'm using has this arm right here, and it sticks out. It's pretty much this, and or like right here. And so whenever you're sharpening stuff or you're doing a flat grind, this is in your way. And this way, this plate is the furthest thing out, except for the pulleys obviously, but it's the furthest part out. I could do my hollow grinds up here. I'm getting excited. Now this plate, I grinded on it yesterday when I first tried it out, is this big ol' dealie is going to be my tool rest. And I want to make it pivotable, so that way I could have it at a 90 and just do my flat spines, or have it all the way down to probably like 15 degrees or whatever for sharpening. But this was going to be the arm. It does not fit. Well, you can't really see, but it doesn't fit. This pipe, on the other hand, is the same exact outside diameter. The inside diameter, however, is just small enough it fits. So what I'm going to do is cut off about 2 inches of this, weld it to the bottom or the top. I don't really know yet. We're doing some quick. We're going to have to weld it to the top for right now. Actually, we might have to stick it on the side. Stay tuned. I'm going to do some thinking. Show you real quick. I'm doing thinking. And this works amazing. Oh, except for that back part. The plate, I don't know why it wouldn't, but for some reason I had a feeling that I would have to be moving it a lot as I change different holes and different angles. Edit that part out. But I don't really have to. And actually, for the bottom wheel, I don't even have to change the tensioner back here. The part that sucks. The main part is I want the small contact wheel. You can see it. The small contact wheel for all the way down into here. And I don't know where I put my bolt. But this is the biggest adjustment. And as you can see, this deal's slack. And back here, this is our spring that we put on. I have to be all the way out to here for it to be tight. So I don't know how this is going to work. I might have to have 2 bolts back here. That's going to be a huge adjustment deal. As you see, it just sits in there. So I don't know. We might be able to make an extension. I don't know. But, but this part over here, I think works just fine. I got this. I want to put that over the top of this nut and slide it in and out. I want to use the same 3-inch angle iron for my tool rest. Now I'd like it to match up with the current backing plate.